Hello and welcome to the incredibly influential and highly successful podcast. My name is Kael. I'm incredibly influential.
My name is Maxwell, and I'm highly successful.
Today is Sunday, May 12th, as we are recording this. And Maxwell has some big news for all of us. Let's hear it.
I graduated.
Yay! I forget pomp and circumstance, so I did the Oscars theme. But yay! Congratulations, Maxwell.
Thank
He's
you.
got. Tell us the full title of your undergrad degree.
I have a bachelor's in science and a minor in theater.
Hell yeah!
Well, I have a bachelor's in science in human development and a minor in theater.
Hell yeah! But yeah, everybody, you know, we want to congratulate Maxwell. Yeah, he's been busy past few days. He's been celebrating, hanging out with the family and celebrating from what I've heard. But yeah, congrats, man. We're I can say, I think I can speak for all of us when I say we're very proud of you for finishing up, because I know you've been working on that one for a while.
Well, yeah, I've been working on it for 4 years.
Mm-hmm. Long ass time, man. But we're very proud. Yeah, so you're done with your semester. I'm done with my semester. Doug, just stop trying to eat my taquitos. I have taquitos. He is very jealous that I have taquitos and he does not. But yeah, we're both done for the semester. It is summer vacation for me, and for you, it's I guess it is summer vacation for you, because why don't you tell us where you're going after your undergrad?
Sure. I'm planning to go to Baltimore to work for. Well, I'm going to continue to take classes. I'm going to be part of a postgraduate program called City Teaching Alliance, where their purpose is to provide educators to underserved communities, predominantly communities of color, and be in Baltimore for the next 4 years.
Good luck with that. You're braver than I am. Going to Baltimore.
You know, kids deserve teachers.
They do. And maybe if Baltimore had more teachers, Baltimore wouldn't be Baltimore, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we're going to blame it on a lack of teachers and nothing else.
I mean, that's a big part of it.
Well, I mean, it definitely doesn't help.
It definitely doesn't help. Yeah. But yeah, going to Baltimore without a gun, without 2 guns, dude, I would be packing at least 3 guns if I went to Baltimore. In 2024, 3 guns at least.
I'm glad that you can respond to a city with, you know, an incentive to arm yourself, because that's really the way to approach a community.
I mean,
it's not like we've had enough of that, you know. It's not like it's enough to have police overarmed in, like, a good example is probably public university. Like, why do we have so many guns on campus? And why is it that, like, they're just flaunted about everywhere? Like, yeah, the police have them, but, like, is there a particular reason to have such a overwhelming number of guns on campus?
Yeah, because people feel unsafe.
I wonder, you have a very interesting way of construing, you know, my experience, because I feel unsafe with the presence of police with guns on my campus. And I don't feel safe when they, you know, surround bodies of students.
I mean, you know what? They got to make
for
sure.
not doing anything criminal, by the way. What the students are engaging in is in no way illegal. It is
Yet.
not registered as illegal, but they are still
Uh,
surrounded by police
Depends which
on my
university you're
campus.
talking about. Which university are you talking about?
I'm talking about mine.
Well, the way that protests work is
You're going
you
to
know,
explain protests to me.
yes. Well, I'm explaining it to the audience, but they're there to make sure that it doesn't turn into what Columbia turned into, because they did commit crimes. They absolutely did.
Yeah, it's all about framing, because the police can consider anything criminal as an excuse to arrest people.
Yeah, but the charges won't stick.
But that doesn't matter. When you arrest someone, everything changes for your life. Like, so many things get changed because you were detained, and
then you can sue them.
There's no repercussion for the police.
Yeah, there is. You can sue them
mistakenly. Yeah, you could, but you have to go through their own system to do it, and that takes time, and that's time taken out of the people who are detained wrongfully.
Would you rather no one ever get arrested like they did in January 6th?
Well, I don't think students should be arrested for exercising their right to free speech.
Okay, but what about the janitor that they held hostage at Columbia?
Well, I've not heard about this. No news has been about the janitor held hostage by students. What I had at my campus was a student from Columbia come to tell us about their experience and what it's like to be a student living on campus with the protests going on. And as a student who lives off the campus, they were told when trying to enter the campus to use the dining hall that's provided by the school, that they're not allowed to go to that dining hall by the police. And the police instead redirected that student to a dining hall that was 2 miles away and not open, and wouldn't be open for 2 more hours. And so essentially the people who suffer are the students who don't live on campus, who are lower income, and they're just further disadvantaged by the restrictions put by police as they try to contain what's happening.
If it was orderly and they weren't taking over buildings, so let me tell you about the janitor guy.
I love that you just want to go right to January 6th because you think that sedition is comparable to the exercising of free speech and protesting for students.
When you break into a public building that you're not allowed to be in,
which is different from the Capitol building. Columbia University is not the Capitol building. They're incomparable.
If a government
They're incomparable.
agency says, okay, you're not allowed to be in this space, you are hampering our operations, and this small group of protesters is making it worse for the larger student body and hampering operations, then they can say,
the campus can make any excuse it wants to tell you that it's not allowed, that students are not allowed to exist or be present, just to be present on a part of campus. It'll be deemed illegal and a violation of student code and conduct. What the violation was for the university was for my university's decision to hold an encampment? It lasted 2 days before the police surrounded the encampment, which the encampment was doing nothing illegal.
They were making sure that they weren't doing anything illegal. That's what they're there for.
Yeah, but what do you think what do you think the presence of police does to, a non, it associates the 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 idea that these people are engaging in criminal activity when they're not.
It's making
And
sure that they don't. That's if you see cops at a fucking state fair, if they have cops like going around at the state fair making sure that, people aren't snorting coke under the bleachers or whatever the fuck.
You're essentially inviting police to be everywhere to prevent crime when, there should be spaces where people have privacy and protection from surveillance from cops.
If you're on a public space, you don't get that privacy. That's how that works. If you are camping,
you actually should have the
place,
privacy. There's no reason you should go to like a space in the park and have to be within eyesight of the police. There's no reason for that.
But when there's a large group of people who are camping on public property, there is no expectation of privacy. The
problem is, you know exactly why the people have established the encampment, and you refuse to recognize why they're there.
Cool motive, still going to be people there to make sure you don't spiral out of control or escalate.
Yeah, because you're so scared of escalation.
I'm not. Well, I don't care. I don't live on campus.
What is the reason for the increased presence? If not to say, we believe that we're gonna have to use our own force on students. There's no other reason.
Did they get kicked off?
The students are not trying to engage with the police because they know that they're at more risk by doing that. They're more unsafe by engaging with the police.
Did the police do anything other than surround and monitor the encampment?
Well, they tried to talk to students, and the students would not talk to the police. And that's the legal thing.
Oh no! The police tried talking to people.
Oh,
scary!
You want to make fun of this situation, but police kill people all the time, and so for
they kill people because they're not talking to them. Jesus fucking Christ!
They can kill them for a myriad of reasons. They can kill them because the police feel unsafe, but that person might just have some sort of mental disability that the police are not equipped to treat or handle, and so they respond in violence, and people get hurt, and people die.
If it's the choice between a police officer
and
a mentally disabled person,
it's not acceptable for children to be killed by cops.
If a mentally disabled person is attacking an officer
for doing nothing criminal or violent, it's wrong.
Okay, and that doesn't have... First of all, that has nothing to do with what we're talking about.
I think it has a lot to do with it, because that is the effect of police.
Let's see the effect of when someplace doesn't have police. You ever heard about Chaz? Talk about Chaz? Let's talk about fucking Chaz. I love talking about Chaz.
I love that you want to get into a debate about this, but I really don't. I mean, the truth is, hundreds of students have been arrested across multiple universities for engaging in peaceful protests. And
they're not peaceful.
Their ability, yes, they have been.
Columbia, breaking windows, keeping a janitor hostage. Again,
police barricading students and keeping them inside, preventing them from getting food.
They're not preventing them from getting food. The fucking dining center was open.
They shut down their meal plans and their cards. How are they supposed to get food?
The university,
their privileges as students are being taken away one at a time for their decision to be a presence in the encampment and for speaking up for oppressed people.
You are allowed to protest. The university does not have to supply you with food. They don't have to.
They don't need to, but they also shouldn't restrict your movement and your mobility to get food.
They restrict you from getting fucking DoorDash. I'm pretty sure your sources are wrong because the dining hall has been open.
I have watched people outside of Columbia give students food from outside the campus because there's no other way to get food to them.
That's not true. They were door dashing food, dude. That just.
But there's
if
no,
you dropped an
there's
atom
no
bomb
reason,
on
there's
truth,
no reason for the access to food to be restricted by the police on students. It's wrong. There's nothing there. Like, what is the use of starving students? Tell me why that's
aren't
okay.
starving
Tell me why
them.
that's acceptable. Well, tell
They
me why.
aren't
Tell me why causing all these, like, creating all these limitations is acceptable. Why?
because.
I don't want to hear it. I really don't.
Oh, tell me why. Except I don't want to hear it. Except I don't want to hear it. I don't actually care.
Except I don't want to hear an excuse for restricting the students' abilities to eat.
They aren't fucking restricted. They can go to the fucking dining hall.
I just told you about one student who was told to go to a dining hall that wasn't open.
That's shitty fucking coordination by the police. That's not fucking starvation. Jesus Christ, your fucking first world problems are showing. Christ a fucking live.
Yeah,
go to fucking Tibet.
You kind of have an inability to recognize other people's problems.
Go to Tibet. Go to fucking West Turkestan. Go see the fucking Uyghurs in their concentration camps. Jesus fucking Christ. They're not starving. They're pissy because they can't get their fucking DoorDash. And you can see it. This has been documented multiple times. They're mad because they can't get their DoorDash. Columbia University has repeatedly said that their dining hall has been open this whole time. They've been serving food this whole fucking time. But the Columbia protests broke into a building and kept a man hostage and assaulted him on video. And the people doing that, they're not students. They're outside protesters. One of the people in the hostage video, the main person doing the assaulting, he was a 40-year-old trust fund fail child who spends his days fucking going around and doing protests for just to fucking shits and gigs because he couldn't do anything else. So he beat the shit out of a working class Hispanic janitor in Columbia. Some fucking 40-year-old rich white guy with rich daddy and rich mommy beating the shit out of a working class Hispanic janitor who was just trying to get out of a building that they illegally fucking broke into and occupied. These are not fucking peaceful.
I don't understand the connection to, like, how students can illegally occupy a building on their campus. Make that make sense.
They don't own the university. The fucking state of New York does.
They are students of that university.
Oh, so I can just go into the library at my university after closing hours? I can just go into the rec center? I can just go into my fucking psych building, just go in, do whatever I want? No. They have fucking hours for a goddamn reason. They can tell you you're not allowed to be in here at this time. It's not a fucking complicated thing.
Well, I think the students have a right to say that the money that is being put into arms and weapons that are creating mass amounts of death should have the right to say something.
Then they can stop going and stop paying their fucking tuition. No one's forcing them to go to fucking Columbia.
No one's letting them graduate.
Yeah, good, because they broke fucking student rules.
No, I
if
mean
I broke fucking student
all
rules,
the students aren't allowed to graduate. It's not just the students protesting. They have taken away the permission to graduate for all students, even the ones who are not on campus.
Because the protesters are making it impossible to graduate.
You're going to blame the protesters for the university's decision to prevent all students from graduating?
Yeah, they can't hold the ceremony because the fucking protesters are taking over the campus. That's why. Are you gonna blame the January 6th protesters for Congress not being able to certify the election results?
I don't think they're protesters. I don't think it's fair to equate them as protesters when they invaded the Capitol building and then they chased members of Congress. Tell me how that is behavior reminiscent of protesting. It's not. It's sedition.
then
You
so
have to be able
too
to distinguish the difference.
then so too is it fucking violence, trespass, breaking and entering, and assault. If you break into a fucking building, break windows, destroy university property, public property, and beat the shit out of a fucking janitor and keep him in your fucking building and kidnap him, that's legally kidnapping, and not let him leave. What's the fucking difference? Are those guys fucking protesters? No, they're not. But you're going to make an excuse because they're protesting on behalf of the brown Nazis. If they're white Nazis, they're bad. But if they're brown Nazis, it's okay.
I'm not excusing how they treat a janitor like that.
The whole.
But I think it's you know, it draws focus away from why these students are assembling and why they're gathering and why, you know, so many people are putting their educational career at risk because they feel that something is going on around them that needs to be talked about, needs to be changed.
We aren't paying them.
And
they're buying them off of us.
Complicit in it.
What the fuck is Columbia University gonna fucking do? Israel is paying our companies to buy their shit. There's no the university and the U.S. government has nothing to do with it.
Because we create a legal transaction where the end result is that the transaction and the exchange of items between countries leads to them having the means to kill people doesn't mean it's okay.
Did you also find out that the UN halved their reports on the amount of women and children killed because they were taking Hamas at face value?
I don't know what you're talking about.
The number of women and killed that has been widely reported, the UN has just finished their first report on this, and they've halved the number of women and children killed because the numbers they were relying on were straight from fucking Hamas. You're in supporting the people that started this war.
I think it's still putting down the number of children that are living in that space who are suffering from starvation, bombardment, no access to a home or water. How is that acceptable?
Hamas should be paying for that. That's their government. They elected that.
There are service trucks at the border of the
that
country.
Hamas keeps bombing.
They are not allowed to enter the country. What is so wrong about allowing? And that how could you say that when we know that Israel is responsible for so many attacks against service vehicles and organizations that were trying to provide basic humanitarian services to civilians?
Was it Israel or was it Hamas doing a false flag for Israel?
It was Israel. And we have confirmation it's Israel. We also have confirmation that Hamas was backed by Israel and put into directly funded by Israel.
Yeah, they were giving them funds to take care of the Gazans you care so much about. And what did they use that money for, Maxwell? Do you know?
I love that you're going to equate this organization for the entire mass of people living there.
They support them. And then you're going to say, well, duh, I don't blame them because Israel's so bad. I know every single thing that you're going to say.
Why are you trying to control the conversation?
Because I can tell every point you're going to make before you make it.
Well, then I've
done this dance before.
We're not having a conversation, are we?
No, I'm fighting with myself, and you're just voicing the other voice. Because, like I said, I've done this dance before.
I mean, I don't think it's I think it's important that we talk about this, but I don't think it's right to misconstrued what's happening, who are the people that are suffering, who are the people perpetrating it, and why people are responding in the way they are because of what's going on. because
People are responding in the way they are because Hamas have been launching rocket attacks every single day for fucking 20 years. And Israel is fucking sick of it. People have been dying. It started a long time before October 7th. It started a long fucking time before October 7th.
I understand that, but like I don't think you fully understand the disparity of power between Palestine and Israel.
Okay, North Korea is small and pathetic compared to South Korea. Does that mean it would be bad for South Korea to defend themselves against North Korea?
Well, I think
no.
I think if South Korea controlled the borders of North Korea and then prevented like any form of service,
they do.
While also destroying all forms of just schools and hospitals. Imagine taking away
Don't
all
put weapons
schools and
caches
hospitals.
in there.
What?
They've put weapons caches and the hostages. One of the hostages was tortured
school
and murdered in
hospital. Every school and hospital, you're gonna assume that weapons were in there.
They found them in all of them.
You know what they did find? They found mass graves. They found people with catheters in them who were beheaded and shot or buried alive.
Sucks to suck. Shouldn't have invaded on 10/7.
Shouldn't have what? Shouldn't have been in a hospital?
Shouldn't have elected Hamas, really. It's on them. Sucks to suck.
You're gonna blame Hamas for the executions enacted by Israel. That's rich. That's really rich of you.
If you start a war,
really dumbfounded.
If you start a war, then you need to be prepared to fight or surrender.
Well, that's the disagreement, is that we don't see eye to eye on this being a war because I see it as a genocide.
It's not a fucking genocide. If they wanted to kill every single Palestinian, they could do it in an afternoon. They've lost 1/3% of their population. You want to talk about fucking genocide? Look at what Azerbaijan is doing to Armenia. But nobody cares about that because when it's not Jews, it's not news. You are being played. You are being fucking puppeted. They've got your hand right up your ass, and they're playing you like a goddamn puppet.
I'm so disappointed in you, Kael.
I'm fucking disappointed that you can't recognize that there are so many real fucking genocides happening, but you're only talking about the one that isn't happening.
You're not talking about it.
I'm talking about it right fucking now.
No, you're
33,000 is
because
nothing.
You're refusing to acknowledge it.
33,000 is nothing compared to what Israel could be doing. If Israel was actually indiscriminately bombing the shit out of...
monstrous to say about tens of thousands of people, women and children, and even more starving and injured and suffering.
It's not our responsibility to feed
It is our responsibility because we gave Israel the means.
It's not our responsibility to feed them.
Do it.
It's not Israel's responsibility to feed them.
We're also prohibiting the rest of the world from acting against what Israel is doing.
Yeah, we did that with fucking Germany too.
It vetoed a ceasefire resolution that was trying to be passed by the UN. It vetoed it. It was the only country to dissent against the decision, and it overturned it.
Do you know why? Because it wouldn't get rid of the hostages.
Because the United States has too much power over the United Nations.
Because they didn't release the hostages in that ceasefire deal. We have American citizens over there. If fucking Donald Trump was president, Jesus fucking Christ, we would have boots on the ground steamrolling Palestine right now, getting those fucking hostages back. But because fucking Joseph Robinette Biden is soft as hell and trying to make sure that he gets himself reelected.
I think it's super disconnected to think that the presence of hostages in Gaza justifies the execution of women and children and people in hospitals and schools.
Tell that to their fucking families. Say, oh, they have hostages, but you know what? You know, these terrorists and their terrorist government that they've elected.
because murdering and executing women and children gets you no closer to freeing those hostages.
It
doesn't.
does. We've been freeing
No,
them.
it does not.
We've been freeing them.
It is the dumbest idea to say that. It is how is
It's
killing
working.
more people going to save more lives?
Because
in
they
that
will
way?
go
It's
in
not.
to Rafah, and they will find where Hamas has been keeping the hostages. They will kill their captors, and they will rescue them.
Well,
It's not hard.
I think the conversation is just lost. There's too many angles in which we can't agree upon, and it's really sad because unanimously we should be agreeing on this. And I think that, you know, it's the specialty of the United States is making this information as unclear as possible to the people that live here, to its citizens.
I'm way more informed on this than you are.
Informed opinion.
I am far more informed on this than you are. Far more.
Wow, your ignorance is showing.
You are in the Dunning-fucking-Kruger Club right now. First rule of Dunning-Kruger Club is you don't know you're in Dunning-fucking-Kruger Club. You are just barely scraping the surface because you're getting it from these biased news angles. You didn't even hear about the fucking janitor that they were keeping in Colombia because your side wouldn't want you to know that.
Yeah, well,
your side wouldn't want you to know that.
You didn't hear about the students who were like prevented from, entering their campus.
I did hear about that. It's not true.
How can it not be true when I heard it from a Columbia student?
Oh, you heard it from a Columbia student who was part of the protests. Oh, so you're hearing it directly from someone who was totally
a student who decided to come all the way up from Columbia to Binghamton to talk about the issue, and you want to imply that
really
person
invested.
Lied about it.
Sounds like they're really invested in propagating this narrative. Sounds like they might have an angle they're playing. If they're really invested to drive all the way up to Binghamton.
Everyone has an angle in propagating the narrative because they want to tell the story. They want to tell their truth.
They want to tell their truth, not the truth, their truth.
Because it's true. It's their experience. How can you deny that from them?
Because I've seen the fucking actual.
How can you assume that you know better than the students who are actually being there and living through this? That's ignorant.
They are lying to you. They're playing you for a fucking fool.
Why? How could you say such an audacious thing about students?
That they would lie?
It's disrespectful. It's disrespectful.
They would lie on behalf of terrorists?
So many bodies of higher education are willing to act and mobilize to say something about this topic, and that you don't trust them.
No,
because
right.
you don't believe in students, and that's so disappointing.
You know what I don't believe in? The fucking fact that the Columbia protesters had a fucking Nazi truck driving around, and just nobody really cared about it. It was there. It was there. We didn't say anything about it. Doesn't matter.
Well,
I think
from my experience, the protesters that I've spoken to, no one holds anti-Semitic views. No one believes in it. No one wants to promote those things at all. What they want to promote is freedom and rights and safety.
If you sit at a table with 11 Nazis,
but you don't listen to that. You don't listen to the demand for freedom. You ignore it.
They can have their freedom when they surrender. They can
what
have
more
their
is
two-state
What more
solution?
is there to surrender than their homes and their schools and their hospitals and their entire lives and their
That's
parents?
what the Germans were asking in 1945, dumbass. Jesus fucking Christ. You're being played by a bunch of fucking anti-Semitic Nazis. Read the fucking Hamas charter. Look what they want to do to the Jews.
I think you're the
You
one being
don't
played.
care about your Jewish friends. You don't care about the Jewish people.
I do. I don't care about them any less for caring about Palestinians. And it is absurd for you to make that claim because I support freedom for everyone. And
if
for
there is
everybody.
a ceasefire today and all the hostages get released, if everything stops right now, nothing stops Hamas from attacking again. Nothing. And more Israelis will fucking die. Innocent civilians.
The attacks from them might not end.
And that's something I can't live with.
Yeah, which is unfortunate because people will just continue to die while you refuse to live with it.
I would rather...
Women and children will continue to die day after day after day.
I'll trade
They
those
have done it
lives
for
for
months
future
and months.
ones. I'll trade
There-
those lives for future ones.
There are no
If it
future
stops
lives.
the
You are
attacks-
destroying the future of an entire country by killing their youth, their access to education, to healthcare, to safety, to all the means to survive. You are
That's what
taking all of
Charles
those
Lindbergh
away.
said in the 1940s about the Germans as we bombed Dresden, as we bombed Berlin, as we killed Hitler and all of his fucking generals. That's what Charles Lindbergh and the other fucking Nazi stooges were saying. You are being played for a
I think
fool.
you're the one being played, and you can't recognize that this is that. This is what those people were doing, and this is like when the United States retaliated, or not retaliated, but like, I mean, can we agree that like the United States didn't engage in the war until they were attacked at Pearl Harbor? They were complicit in what was going on in Europe with Nazi Germany until they were provoked.
Now that's a more complicated issue.
Oh, that's more complicated? It's the same fucking thing.
No, it's fucking not, because the FDR was held back by the fucking Congress, you moron. Jesus fucking Christ, we have a fucking system. We have a goddamn democracy, and the vast majority of fucking Americans didn't want to send millions of Americans to fucking die. It was the most destructive conflict in the entire fucking human history. And I'm sorry we didn't get involved earlier. I would have loved to get involved earlier.
Yeah,
but the sad
you
news
should
is
still be sorry.
you can't
You
join
should
a
still
fucking
be
war.
sorry. You should be sorry because you're refusing to do it right now.
Oh, I will get involved. I will gladly send American troops over there to fucking put those Hamas bastards down, and that will restore peace. That will restore lives.
They're not putting Hamas down. They're putting women and children, civilians, citizens of Palestine.
Then Hamas should stop hiding among them and using them as human shields. Do you not know how terrorists work? Do you not know how the IRA, Al-Qaeda...
I think you don't understand how a country of people work, and that they're people, and that this is all they have. This is their entire life. It's boiled down to not having a home, not having a place to stay. They are continually forced to move because they are informed by their oppressors that if they do not, they will be killed by them.
At least they're informing them.
At least
if Israel cared, if Israel actually wanted to fucking genocide them,
they have nothing else. They have nothing else, and you say
blame their government.
You say that's the same. You want to blame the government? We should.
That's
blame
what the fucking Japanese did. That's what the Italians did. That's what the Germans did.
We should be blaming our government for its complicity.
Fuck no! It's not our fucking responsibility.
It is directly our responsibility because we are funneling all the money to Israel to enact this
We're not.
Act.
They are buying things from private companies,
which are doing business directly with the United States.
So
that's the problem.
They're not doing business with the United States. They're building them for Israel. The United States government has nothing to do with it.
It has so much to do with it. It has so much to do with it. I just told you that they vetoed a ceasefire resolution in the UN. How can you say that they have nothing to do with it?
They did that months ago because Hamas didn't offer to fucking
they did it.
give
they
out.
Did it months ago, and the problem is still going on. It's been going on for 8 months. It's not like a new development. It has been an ongoing issue.
Because Hamas never offered to let the fucking hostages out until just recently. And do you know what else happened just recently? They finally were able to fucking tip the scales, and now they can actually get rid of Hamas for good. Thousands of dead Hamas soldiers. If Hamas wants to do this war, if they want to do this war right and not have civilians die, they will put on a uniform, they will go to a battlefield, and they will fight like men.
Well, you tell me when you see that the number of casualties in this war are overwhelmingly women and children.
According to Hamas.
No, it's just the fact. It's just the fact.
It's not.
It will be. You will see it in the history books. This is the history that they will be telling about unfolding right before our eyes, and you are blind to it.
And when they actually do wipe out Hamas, and they do actually get accurate numbers, and that all of them were being inflated by a propaganda arm of a terrorist movement.
You know, then that'll be for the record.
And
if you
what
if you
will I
want to
get
hold
when
it
that's
over my
correct?
head, I invite you to do so. Because,
And I will, because that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, we'll see. Because
Would you let me ask you a question?
We'll have enough time in our lives to really see the ramifications of this.
This war is coming to an end. It is going to end soon.
There's no war happening. It is people being executed and murdered and held in camps.
They're being held in camps because if Israel didn't care, they would have just turned all of Gaza.
You think the camps
into
are
a
humane?
Parking lot.
You think the camps are humane for the people who are there? It's not.
Better than
They're
just
being
leaving them in their
controlled and
bombed
held
out
there.
piece of shit homes.
Like, it's as absurd as to claim that prisons and those systems in the United States are humane. You think that those are institutions that are working to rehabilitate the people who are in there, to adjust them to society? They're not.
It's not.
And
neither
are the camps that are.
And you're moving the goalposts.
That are being controlled by Israel. It's not. It's just a gloss of the reality of our world that you are sharing with us.
If Osama bin Laden, or actually, you know what? How about this? If Al Qaeda said to you, if you had like an Al Qaeda agent come up to you, and he said, "Hey, they never actually got bin Laden. You know, he's actually still alive. He's hanging out in fucking Jordan. We have a photo of him, right?" Would you believe
I understand
the Al
that,
Qaeda agent?
The Pakistani president lied about knowing where Osama bin Laden is, but are you gonna judge the entire population of Pakistan and all the people who are Pakistani?
You're not getting my point here. You're not getting my point here.
I think you refuse to get mine. So I'm not. Forgive me for not really entertaining your concepts or your hypotheses when you refuse to engage with what I'm talking about.
Al Qaeda wasn't the elected government of Pakistan. But my point is, are you going to take an agent of Al Qaeda at face value?
But like we can just gloss over how Israel put Hamas in power and then excuse them for Hamas's actions.
They put them in power so that way the people of Gaza would have a government to protect them. If Israel didn't fund them, then you'd be like, no, Israel is starving them. Hamas doesn't have enough money to take care of the Palestinians. So Israel gives them the money. They give them the aid. They give them that every fucking year until fucking 10/7 because Hamas was using that money.
No one is taking care of them. And should we not agree that that's a problem?
No. It wasn't America's job to protect the Germans.
That's just where the argument ends. Because if you don't see those people deserving of basic humanitarian aid like water and food,
it's Hamas's job to do it. Do you think we did that in the South?
You wanna destroy them and you want them to feed their people. Tell me how stupid you sound.
Do you think General Sherman did that to the Southerners in the South?
I don't think what you're saying makes any sense. I don't think it makes sense that you deem that it's Hamas's responsibility to feed and nourish its people when you also think that they should be the ones completely exterminated. What is our responsibility then to those people?
To put in a new government after Hamas is done.
The standing responsibility is that we are complicit in their executions and the bombings and the killings that are going on there, the starvation, the suffering. We're allowing it to happen.
Hamas is allowing it to happen by not surrendering.
No, stop saying that.
If they surrendered, the war would be over. They will not surrender, so it is their
I can't
problem.
believe like this. How can you like
Let me explain
just
something.
always go to this? Oh, because the other side refuses to do something, it justifies every single action done by the powers that by which we are inherently tied to or connected to. It
Let
just
me explain
justifies it.
something.
It doesn't justify it.
Let me
It's
explain something.
if it
Zh-
violates all these, you know, these freedoms and rights that we
Let me
idolize,
explain.
or not just not idolize, but like, you know, we that like this is what this country is like founded on, is freedom.
Let me explain something. So, back
Like-
in the Gulf War in 2001,
Oh my god.
back in the Gulf War in 2001, there was, it was a very, very swift U.S. and NATO coalition response to drive Saddam and the Iraqi army out of Kuwait. It was very, very quick, and they were all turning tail and running. They used this one highway to book it out of the country, right? And because there were just so many of them, it was such a ripe, target-rich environment that the aardvarks and the warthogs and all of the artillery and anti-ground aircraft just had a fucking field day with the Iraqi army, the retreating Iraqi army. Is that a war crime, yes or no? If they are retreating.
Yeah, if they're retreating.
No, because they didn't surrender. If you're retreating, you are fair game. That is not a war crime. Unless you lay down your weapons and surrender, you are considered an enemy combatant.
Well,
and you will be blown to smithereens. It's not a war crime.
I hope it, you know, that you can understand that makes us the antagonizers.
It doesn't. It doesn't. Saddam invaded Kuwait for no reason other than he wanted oil.
Yeah, but like, you know, I really cannot. I feel like I can't like hold this conversation.
I don't think you understand how war works. I don't know if you know any veterans
I don't think
or
you
someone who
understand
served.
that this is not a war.
If they don't want to come out and fight, then that sucks, but it's still a war.
Like, oh, okay, you know, murdering women and children is war.
Using them as human shields sucks.
I'm saying, like, why are you like? It's just
don't launch a rocket attack on a school playground.
The number of people associated with Hamas being murdered are not equated to the number of women and children being murdered in Palestine.
What about the fucking child soldiers they use? Is it a war crime to kill a child soldier?
I just don't see
Answer the question, yes or no.
How 600,000 children in a country leads you to talk about child soldiers as a means for justifying killing children, because there's no justice in that. When they pick up a
gun and they shoot at you, you are allowed to shoot back and kill them. That's also not a war crime.
Yeah, but this is like such a conjecture that's so detached from what's happening that it's a pointless discussion.
No, that's a real thing that happens there. Hamas has regularly used child soldiers and child suicide bombers and women suicide bombers and women soldiers. They don't have a uniform.
We're just gonna criminalize and turn every single woman and child in that country into a violent barbarist because it's too hard to see them as human beings.
If anyone could be a target and you are getting shot at, you're going to shoot back at just about everyone.
I think that like, you know, all these things that I've brought up have just washed over you, and then it's just.
I don't think you know anyone.
You just want to fall back on all these talking points that just add no substance to what's going on.
I don't think you understand the reality of what a guerrilla war is when you're not the guerrillas.
I think you just don't see it. You don't see it, and it's a real shame because I feel like, you know, there's enough there's enough you can expose yourself to
I
at
feel
least have some
bad.
understanding of what's going on.
I feel bad for the civilians there.
No, you don't.
I
You
do.
definitely fucking don't. Don't fucking throw that pity shit out, because you don't when you want to say that killing all of them is justice. Well, so long as Hamas is not surrendering, it's not justice. It's genocide.
If they wanted to get rid of the entire population of Gaza, it would take them less than an afternoon. They could do it in an hour.
How is that excused every single like inhumane thing that has already happened there? How does
If
that
you
how
want
does
to
how
commit
does
a
saying
genocide,
it could be worse excuse the like heinous crimes, and not just crimes but like acts of like human rights violations?
because it's very
Actual
obvious that they're
human
not trying
human
to commit a
rights
genocide.
violations.
It's so fucking obvious.
Why are we complicit in the engagement of human rights violations? Where's the justice in that?
I genuinely can't understand how you can't see the fucking forest for the trees, and you can't see the fact that you're being fucking manipulated.
I'm so sad that you think that way. I wish you could just take a look at the country and just see the topography of it and tell me, what is the resistance?
What do you mean, what fucking resistance?
I mean that. What is the resistance? There is like all the buildings are bombed and turned to rubble. There are no more schools. There are no more hospitals. People who have an emergency issue have nowhere to go.
They could try working with the Israelis. They could
Nowhere
try
to
collaborating
go.
with them.
The Israelis ordered them to move to another part of wherever and then threaten them with death if they don't.
Do you know why they had to move them out of Rafah?
Do you know why? Can we not agree that that is wrong?
Do you know why they moved them out of Rafah? Because as soon as they moved them into Rafah, Hamas started launching rocket attacks from Rafah. From the refugee camps. From the middle of the refugee camps, they were launching rocket attacks.
Well, I don't see like the human shield whatever case excuses Israel bombing tents that have nothing but civilians.
They don't have nothing but civilians.
Yeah, they do. It's people who want nothing to do with the conflict and can't escape it.
Then why do they keep launching rocket attacks from refugee camps?
Why do you assume that the children there are doing this?
Because
Why?
Hamas uses child soldiers.
You think that children are responsible for launching the rockets? You sound like an idiot.
It's
You
not that
sound like
difficult to do that.
You sound like a complete idiot.
Do you know how hard it is to fire an RPG-7? Do you? It's not difficult. There have been many documented cases.
Do you know how
documented
you know how hard it is to find any sort of basic aid in Palestine right now? Well, I'll tell you, it's pretty hard, especially when there are no hospitals.
Do you know how hard it is to find a Hamas weapon cache? Not very. Not very. They put a rocket launcher in a baby's crib.
I think this conversation is just pointless because you don't take anything I have to say with any value.
Neither of you. Not once have you acknowledged.
Because I think that everything you've said is wrong, and it's not excusable, and it doesn't justify what's going on, and that is that I hold that value, and it doesn't matter what other point you bring up, it doesn't sway.
What should Israel do if Hamas attacks them again when this war is over? If this war ended right now, what happens the next day if Hamas violates the ceasefire? What do? Do they just sit there and take it? What do you want them to do? That is the question that I'm trying to ask here.
I don't think
I get that you care about the Palestinians, and I do too. But at what point?
I don't think it's the way they're going about it. And so that needs to
And
change.
maybe it's not. And maybe it's not. Maybe I don't want Netanyahu to be the president of Israel. I want them to elect a new commander-in-chief who will be a lot more effective in taking out Hamas. Because the fact that this war has gone on this long is really fucking stupid. Because the United States and Israel and other countries, the coalition forces, the new coalition forces, we won against ISIS, who are using the same tactics as Hamas. We beat them. ISIS is gone. We whooped their fucking ass. They're like an online movement now because all of their troops and all of their leaders and shit, we bombed them. We have a missile that is like, we call it the fucking like Jinsu Razor fucking shuriken missile. It doesn't have an explosive on it. It's just a bunch of fucking blades, and they can send it into a car. If say like a Hamas or an ISIS leader is out with his family, right, in a car, and the rest of them are fine, but the leader's in the passenger seat. We can fly that missile into the passenger seat and kill him and leave his entire family unscathed. So if Israel doesn't want to use those kinds of missiles, which, you know, like they exist, they can be launched from just about any aircraft, right? We can mount them on the Apache helicopter. We can mount them on Bradley APCs, right? It's super easy to have those. So if Israel doesn't want to use those because Netanyahu prefers like explosives and like carpet bombing, which not really a whole lot of carpet bombing, but if they don't want to use more precision bombardments, then yeah, fucking Netanyahu needs to go. And I don't think he's doing a good job of running this war. I think he is too emotional. I think that the people who should be running this war, the new Israeli prime minister and the chiefs of staff in their military, should be more cold and logical and not fucking emotional and running red hot.
Forgive me for not really caring when you can't agree that, you know, the people who are suffering, it just doesn't like, who cares?
But what can you say to the families of those hostages? What can you say to that?
I mean, that they shouldn't be held captive.
So, lots of things shouldn't happen.
Well, I mean, I think if I can agree with them on that it's, you know, that's not a conflict of interest, you know? Like, just because I want Palestinians to be free doesn't mean I want the hostages to not be let go. But this is like, just going back and forth about this doesn't.
But what I'm telling you is that the force that is keeping the Palestinians down is also the force that is keeping the hostages. There would be a two-state solution.
I mean,
if
you're
Palestine
right about
had
that.
a more
You just
peaceful...
don't understand who's doing both of those things.
I do understand.
Yeah,
it's
you
Hamas.
think it's Hamas. Yeah, you do. But like, it's Israel.
It's not. It's not.
And so
Israel has offered a two-state solution
because we
50
can't
years
agree
ago.
Because we can't agree on that. There's no real argument here because we don't have a shared view of what's happening.
Every two-state solution
if you think that Hamas is responsible for everything and you think it justifies the war crimes enacted by Israel, then we're not having a debate. We're having you talk and say your shit, and we're having me trying to shine a light on this, but it's useless. It's useless on you. But I think there is a value in, you know, promoting the freedom that is deserved for Palestine.
If Palestine, let me ask you a question again. If Palestine gets their two-state solution or three-state, in case Gaza and I'm blanking on the name, but the other part of Palestine, if in case they don't want to be together, right? If they get their 2 or 3 state solution, right? What happens if immediately after that Palestine launches another attack on Israel? I genuinely want to know your thoughts on this.
I don't I don't get this like, oh, what if the hypotheticals? It's like we can't even have a conversation about what's going on right now
What's going on
and
right
have it make
now
sense.
is because they want to prevent those future hypotheticals from happening.
Oh, so it justifies day after day and month after month of murdering children and women and burying them alive, putting them in mass graves, holding them in camps. You think just because we're afraid of what happens next excuses what we do now?
Yes. That's
It
why we
doesn't.
did what we did to
It
Germany.
doesn't. It
That's
doesn't
why we
because
did what we did to Japan.
what we're doing is we're taking the choice out and we're just saying, "Oh, we'll kill them ourselves." And, we won't give the people without a choice any say.
They do have a choice.
And
They do have
no,
a
they
choice.
don't. Their ability to flee the country is revoked and restricted and prevented by the Israeli government.
If they want to get out, if they want to end this war, they can. Do you know what they can do? They can talk to their occupying forces. And they can be like, "Hey, I know where Hamas is hiding. I know where they have the hostages."
A direct line to Hamas. This is like what
no,
an absurd.
Hamas walks among them. Hamas goes in their houses and uses them. They let them use their houses. Do you know where they kept that one hostage girl who was making the news? Do you know where they kept her? In the guy's house with his family. They kept him, or they kept her in there with his civilian family. So civilians know where these hostages are. If they want this war to be over, they will snitch and they will feed information to the Israelis. And they'll probably get at least a little bit of like fucking mercy or aid. You know, we did that a lot in Afghanistan for our interpreters. There was a pathway to citizenship for them. If they helped us out in Afghanistan, or Iraq and whatever the fuck, if they did that, if they aided us, we said, hey, Afghanistan fucking sucks. You want to come over to America and come join us? You know, since you were brave and you put your life on the line, you know, come on over. I think Israel will be more than happy to do that because they have like 200,000 Arab civilians in there. Arab Muslim civilians in Israel who have equal rights just the same as all Israelis.
Yeah, I mean, the Israelis are fine. There's no like, yeah, I get Hamas poses a threat to Israel, okay? But the people don't. The people have no home, no security, no food, no water, no access to emergency medical aid. What threat is there?
Do you know how easy it is to make a pipe bomb?
What threat is there? You just don't answer my question.
They
you
could
just answer it with another question.
Be fucking suicide bombers or concealing a fucking AK, and as soon as they walk up to a checkpoint, boom, whip it out and kill 2 fucking Israeli soldiers. It could happen. It happens all the fucking time.
Yeah, so you're gonna chalk up a hypothetical to excuse.
That's not hypothetical. That happens every day. Hamas doesn't wear uniforms.
We can't engage in a dialogue about what's happening right now. So it just feels stupid to talk about hypotheticals when we can't even have an agreement about what is actually happening.
It's not a fucking hypothetical. If you dress like a civilian...
What I'm talking about isn't a hypothetical. It's the truth. It is what is happening in the world right now. It is what's been happening for months and months. And the failure of our own body of government or any semblance, any body of power just refuses to acknowledge it. And it doesn't matter if they don't acknowledge it because they continue to benefit and profit off of it. So their silence is no weight on their shoulders from their own self-interests, and people just suffer. People who have no interest in suffering are suffering all the time, are dying and starving, and this is not and we can't have a conversation about it, and it's absurd because
We're having a conversation about it right now. It's not our fucking fault that Hamas uses the aid money we give them to instead buy rockets to shoot at Israel.
I just like you put up any excuse you can to prevent humanitarian aid from entering the country. How can you find some sort of like mental gymnastic to justify that?
It's not mental gymnastics to say that Hamas takes the aid, they get to the aid first, they take it, and then they ransom it off to the civilians.
Yeah, I mean,
there's been so many cases of that. We have video evidence, dude. I don't know what to tell you.
I think telling me that excuses the people. I mean, like, if they're giving it to the people who are starving and dying of thirst.
They're not.
Okay, I can't fucking talk. Let's just go to the ad break. It's been an hour and 6 minutes.
I'm putting the ad break in the middle. I'm putting the ad break in the middle.
No, just do it now. Just do it now. Come on. I'm a fellow host.
Sure. Ad break. This episode is sponsored by Liquid IV, the #1 powdered hydration brand in America. We've been partnering with them all summer, and I've been using it to beat the heat through some of these particularly nasty heat waves. While it was scorching hot outside, I was staying cool and refreshed with Liquid IV and their 12 delicious flavors.
One stick of Liquid IV in 16 ounces of water hydrates you twice as fast and far more efficiently than water alone, and it also contains 5 essential vitamins and 3 times the electrolytes of leading sports drinks, without any GMOs, gluten, dairy, or soy. Liquid IV is also committed to equitable access to clean water worldwide, partnering with leading organizations to fund and foster innovative solutions with communities that protect both their water and their futures, and donating 39 million servings in 50-plus countries around the world.
Real people, real flavor, real hydrating. Get 20% off when you go to liquidiv.com and use code IIHSPodcast, all one word, at checkout. That's 20% off anything you order when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code IIHSPodcast, again, all one word, at liquidiv.com. Thank you again to Liquid IV for partnering with us. This podcast is sponsored by Amanda Redwine, your no-nonsense talk therapist and parent coach. Serving individuals and couples in both Illinois and Florida for counseling/therapy, as well as worldwide for parent coaching. Amanda's specialty is working with teens and young adults, as well as their family systems. Amanda has extensive experience working with youth who identify on the LGBTQIA+ spectrum. She has also done couples work based on a foundation of the Gottman method. She brings a light, no-nonsense approach to treatment that is approachable and empathetic. She is unflappable and makes her clients comfortable from the very beginning. Find out more at www.amandaredwine.com. That's AMANDAREDWINE.com. Thank you again for sponsoring this episode, and back to the show. Welcome back, everyone. I'm done with debating. Fuck you. I can't think of anything.
Yeah.
We should stop doing this so late. I hate doing this at fucking, oh my god. Oh, fuck you. God damn it, I have to wake up at 7:47 tomorrow. Because we have to do the atop the table thing. God damn it, man. I hate. Oh man. So, full disclosure, I was going to get Danny in for this episode. But he went to go do a family thing. And I think he probably just got back now. And fuck knows I'm not staying up till 2 a.m. just to do this when I'm still kind of not done with the top of the table for this week. Man, I fucked this up. But oh my god, yesterday. I will say most of this has been my fault. All the stress that I've had from this work this week has been mostly my fault because yesterday I had actually, I don't know if I've talked about this. So yesterday, I was like super, 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 just like really bad, in pain because I had a Maxwell, I don't know if I ever told you about this. Have I ever told you about my surgery, or either one of my surgeries?
No.
I had two. So first one doesn't really matter. That was just my wisdom teeth. But the second one was when I was a kid. This was so fucking long ago. Oh my god. This was before I met Danny. This is before I met you. This was many, 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 many years ago. It was like either right before or right after the end of like fourth or fifth. Yeah, I think it was fourth grade. I was riding my bike and it like slipped down or something. Like it like fell down beneath my legs to where the handlebar stuck up, and I went forward onto it, and it hit me like right below the belly button. And oh my fucking god, that hurt. And I got a hernia from that. And my parents just never like I could tell them that I had a lump there, and they never really did anything about it until a couple of years later we went to get an ultrasound of it, and they were like, "Yeah, you have a hernia. You should probably get that fixed." And we just never got that fixed until 2021 or 2020. I went and I like got it looked at again, and they were like, "Yeah, you need to get that fixed, dude. You've had that for a while." And so I'm like, "Okay." And so in 2021, I got it fixed. I had like it was thankfully it was like a laparoscopy one, so I only have like 3 scars, but right under my left side of my ribs, I have like a big lump of scar tissue from like how they one of the scars that they got in, they like had to move around in there, so there's a lot of scar tissue there. And for like 2.5 years I've been okay, but like yesterday it was just really bad for some reason. Like I just did not move very much. I was in my bed all day, like pretty much all day, with the heating pad on my fucking abdomen because I was in so much pain. And like I could have got up and I could have like done the thing, and I just didn't. And I saw I had like a notification that Danny was like, I have him on my Xbox favorites friends, so that way I get a notification every time he gets on. So like I saw that he was like at home playing Xbox, and I could have gotten up and I could have been like, "Hey, do you want to do this episode?" Because Maxwell's graduating. Fuck. Oh man, I should have. I've fucked myself. This is self-sabotage. Why do I do this to myself? That was not a rhetorical question I'm asking you.
Yeah. Enjoy your rhetorical question.
It was a non-rhetorical question. I'm legitimately asking, why do I do this to myself?
You do it because you're compliant.
That makes sense. But yeah, ouch. It was not good. I don't know where it came from or why it happened. Right? My main theory is like maybe it was like so for a while I didn't have any like red meat in my diet, and everybody knows, red meat is like one of the main problems for why we're all getting so fucking fat. Like as a species, because we didn't eat a lot of that evolutionarily. So now that we're eating it, there's like so much fucking fat content and all that we just in the meat that we just get fat. So I feel like maybe I was like gaining weight and it was like pushing up against my abdomen and doing that. I don't know what was going on. Or maybe I was like just bloated or something. I don't know. But I was taking ibuprofen. That didn't help. I was the heating pad, and that kind of helped, but not really. I probably should have used ice instead of heating pad, but I don't actually own an ice pack. Whenever I'm all sorts of fucked up.
Yeah, that sounds like
I just have to use
world of pain.
The bag of peas. Oh my god, have you? It is truly sad when you have to use the bag of peas. Yeah, you have an actual ice pack. That's your fucking first world problems. Out in New York, you with your fancy ice packs with the little blue balls in them. Way out here in the Midwest, we have to use frozen peas.
If you went out and bought an ice pack, you could use it.
Man, I can't afford that. I can't afford that, man. Inflation's a motherfucker. But yeah, I can't afford that. And I like actually eat peas and green beans and shit, so I just use the bags of those. And I keep enough of a stock of like a backlog to where I have it, where like I will have a bag that is not opened just in case I need to. But yeah, it was rough. And I can still kind of, it feels bigger than it normally is. I don't know. It's just like a huge bulge. And that pisses me off. Do you know why it pisses me off?
Why?
Because I will never have abs. I will never get to have like washboard abs because I have this big lump of scar tissue on the left side of my body. So like even if it like shrunk down to there, it would be like one big lump and then like nothing on the right side. So it would just look like super asymmetrical and you just wouldn't be able to see my abs or anything. So I'll never have abs. So I'll just kind of always just look meh. Like average. And that fucking pisses me off.
I mean, it sucks that you have this like, thing on your body from like a scar, but I don't think that like diminishes your ability to like work on yourself.
No, of course not. And I'm still like losing weight and shit. And I still like go and exercise and shit like that. But like I'll never be able to have like the 6-pack abs. I'll never be able to have the fucking Taylor Lautner. You know what I mean? That's some shit. Cause, all the girlies love the Taylor Lautner abs, That's 99% of Twilight's appeal is Taylor Lautner's abs, right? Like, I don't know if you're a big Twilight fan, but I, for one, I don't think it would have had nearly as much appeal if it didn't have the Taylor Lautner abs. Because let's think about like some of the other books, right, from that era that were similar, but that didn't pop off as much. The main one I can think of is The Host, right? Because that also had like a love triangle in there. But you know what they didn't have? Taylor Lautner abs. So, I think we've found the key, but unfortunately, fucking Taylor Lautner did not like making those movies, and he didn't really have much of a career after that. So, I think young adult women's romance novels are kind of dead now. Like they won't ever be made into movies anymore because you just can't get Taylor Lautner back anymore. And also, he's too old. Also, I'm pretty sure, didn't he marry a girl named Taylor as well? Didn't Taylor Lautner marry a girl named Taylor? Hang on. We are looking this up. What has he been up to lately? Has he been doing anything? Yeah, he did. So Taylor Lautner married a lady named Taylor Dome. So she changed her last name to fit his. She would literally be, you know how people do like the Mr. and Mrs. like John Smith, right? Like that old like traditional style of that back in the day.
Okay.
And like we don't do that anymore, but like if she changed her last name, they would literally be Mr. and Mrs. Taylor Lautner. Would you marry a woman named Maxwell?
I mean, I guess it's just a name.
Yeah. I don't know.
I'm sure people could marry like into a name that's like gender neutral.
That's true. I mean, he did. I think it would be funny if she changed her last name and somebody said, is there a Taylor here? And they both raised their hand. They're like, a Taylor Lautner, and they kept their hands up. I don't know. I'm fucked up. These taquitos are hitting me. I'm not even drunk. That's the sad part. I thought about it, but I was like, I'm too thirsty for a beer right now. I just drink water. So I'm not even drunk right now. This is sober me. And that's the height of comedy for me is Taylor Lautner marrying Taylor Lautner.
Yes, this is the sober talk.
Indeed. Taylor Lautner and Taylor Lautner. Now I'm just imagining at their wedding, it's just Taylor Lautner in a wedding dress and Taylor Lautner in the tuxedo, and then they like kiss each other. That's beautiful. I think that's beautiful. Be the kind of person that you would want to marry. And then literally marry yourself, I think. I think that's correct. I'm okay with that.
I'll give a pass on that.
I'm okay with that ending. Actually, you know what? We'll make that the big red button. You get to be the kind of person you want to marry, but you have to marry yourself. Would you do it? Yes or no?
I mean, I guess I can't, because like I'm in a relationship with someone, and I would just rather be with them. But like, you know, if they were just me, I mean, that'd be cool.
You know, people always say you should put yourself first in a relationship, you know, because if you know, even if like you're making them happy, if you're not happy, you know, you should leave the relationship, right? So in a way, you would be putting yourself first if you married yourself. If you and Jasmine broke up and you married yourself, you would be putting yourself first. So I think that's A-okay. I think we should do that.
I choose not to hit the button.
But you can see why someone would.
I mean, I think we did talk about that.
Could you defend someone deciding to hit the button even if they were in a relationship?
I'm sure they could defend themselves because they're the ones they're marrying.
I mean, that's true. That's true. I mean, they're going to have to, right? Self-cessed is, you know, I think most of us decided that self-cessed was bad because we all watched Loki, and we didn't, and it was weird when Loki banged himself.
He didn't actually do that.
Did they not do it off screen? I feel like they. I guess maybe there wasn't enough time for them to do it off screen, but they wanted to.
They kissed, which, like, you know, I mean, like, you could kiss yourself.
I mean, technically, since every time you like close your mouth, your lips are touching each other. You're kind of always kissing yourself, in a way.
What an interesting take.
Indeed. You know? And since your tongue is in your mouth, you're kind of Frenching yourself too. And every time you whack off, you're getting to second base with yourself. Isn't that crazy? We need to find someone who can go from first to fourth base on themselves. I feel like that's what we need to do as a scientific community, is find the person who can literally go fuck themselves. I think that would be important.
Mm-hmm. I don't think it's important, but, you know, definitely just, you know, what's the world worth if it's not knowing
who can go fuck themselves?
Mm-hmm.
If I had the capital to invest, I would invest in that. That is a worthwhile pursuit, to find the person who can go fuck themselves. It would have to be someone with a penis, right? Yeah. I feel like this is going to be really bad for our DMs because people are going to be like, I can fuck myself. I feel like we're just inviting this, but you know what?
We're inviting, like,
in.
Give us your submissions.
You know what? Hell yeah. I'm okay with that. I am so okay with that. I'm so happy about that, actually. Let's do it. Dude, this is almost as bad as the Weezer episode. This is almost that bad. Which, by the way, you still never gave me an answer for.
Well, yeah, I just like, I don't know, all of them. It's just,
Wait, you only had to pick one. Why are you going? You're really doing the most here. You
I
really
mean,
didn't have to do that.
I'm just talking about all of them, and like, that's the thing is like, you know, they Weezer when they Weezer, and it's like a different Weezer every time. So it's hard to focus on the question.
What?
Like there's always a new Weezer in the Weezer.
No,
Yeah,
they replaced one guy, but
yeah. That means
Scott
it's so hard to
Schreiner's-
keep track of them. I can't focus.
I think they've been the same. What? All right. What year were you born? Oh shit! That's what we're talking about next week. I forgot. We're talking about Weezer next week, actually. What year were you born?
2001.
2001. Yeah, they've had the same members since before you were born. I don't know how you would fail to keep track of them. Scott replaced Matt Sharp in '98. They're the same Weezer since then. Isn't that fucked up? Isn't that fucked up? Not
That's
only am I
fucked up.
Isn't that fucked up? Not only am I younger than 9/11, I'm also younger than Matt Sharp leaving Weezer. That's crazy. And the Blue Album is turning 30. It already did turn 30, but we're talking about that next week because I'm making you listen to it. Surprise! You're listening to all of Weezer's Blue Album. All 41 minutes.
Hooray.
Merry fucking Christmas. But that was the timer, actually. We have a timer now to make sure that these episodes don't go over 2 hours anymore.
That's right.
Because
Them's the rules.
I'm so smart. It makes it so much easier for me because if I don't have to do that, or if I don't have to like go in and upload them, if RSS can upload them for me, fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. I don't have to wait for them to render. Oh my god. Fuck yeah. But yeah. Also, happy Mother's Day.
Yeah, happy Mother's Day. Today
yeah.
is
it was
Today
Mother's
is
Day.
no longer Mother's Day, but
when
it
we
was.
started, it was Mother's Day for me still.
It was it was Mother's Day for you, but it wasn't for me.
Yeah.
By the time we started, Mother's Day was already over for me, and it has now ended for you. Happy Mother's Day.
I have an idea. Before we, Patreon socials conclusion. Can we call this episode Mother of All Debates?
Say that again.
Can we call it the Mother of All Debates?
Sure.
Yeah. Woo, woo, woo. That's a hint for next week as well. Funky Monkey Friday. We're going ape. Merry fucking Christmas. We want to thank our patron Justin Connor. Thank you very much for supporting us this long. We really appreciate it. Goodness gracious. It's been hey, we're coming up on 2 years. In August. 2 straight years. We really appreciate that. Thank you. If you want to get a cool shout out like that, head on over to patreon.com/IIHS podcast. We have 2 tiers. We have the $3 supporter tier where you get a cool shout out. You get access to part 1, which is the lion's share of this episode, actually. But you get access to part 1, or not ad free because it stops before the ad break. But you get it early. And then if you join our $5 tier, you get access to the full episode ad free as soon as it's finished editing, which is usually earlier in the week than this week. We apologize. And you also get access to all of our fucking movie commentaries, which we've been going ham on, might I just say. We put out 3 since May the 4th. In between May 4th and May 9th. We put out fucking 3 of them. I wanna can I get credit for that? Did I put that all together? Because like
you get credit.
Hell
I'm just so excited to hear about the next incredibly influential interview.
Shut up, dude. Don't worry. It'll be out when it's out. It'll be out. To quote the great Linkara, the fucking Lightbringer, it'll be out when it's out. Okay, you know, don't rush me on it. I've had such a fucking time with that. Every time I've like talked to someone, it falls through. It's cursed. It's genuinely cursed. That show is cursed. So yeah, but if you wanna hear about me announcing incredibly influential interviews and then having to cancel, we are on social media at IIHS Podcast on Threads, Instagram, and YouTube. Still not on Twitter because Elon still owns it. But if you guys want to give us money so that we can buy it, actually, fuck yeah, we should start a GoFundMe for that. Or if we just buy Twitter and make it not suck. Do you want to be the co-owner of Twitter?
No, I hate Twitter.
But you hate Twitter now. But we could fix it.
When was Twitter good?
It wasn't, but it's worse now. And we can make it better. We can make it good. We can start the golden age of Twitter. As opposed to the dog shit age and the pig shit age. And I'll leave you to decide which is which. So yeah, give us money on Patreon and we'll buy Twitter. If we get like $50 billion or however much it's worth now, we'll buy Twitter.
It's got to be worth less. They like fired half their employees.
Yeah, there's no way it's still making... I don't know. We'd have to check the value of stocks versus how many shares are outgoing. I don't know.
I like to assume that it's worth less than when Elon bought it.
Wouldn't it suck if it was more? Wouldn't it suck if it was worth more? I don't think it is, but it would suck. But yeah, give us money and we'll buy Twitter. Yeah, follow us on social media so that way we can get back on Twitter again once we own it. And we'll be like, hey, we own Twitter now. You know, it'd be cool. But other than that, I have nothing else to say. I have to go do work. My work day is not done, and it probably won't be done for 2 more hours. God kill me. My name is Kael. I've been incredibly influential.
My name is Maxwell, and I've been highly successful.
We're all gonna die. Good night.